You are 22 years old. You just got your first real paycheck. Not an internship stipend, not a part-time shift. A real, direct deposited, taxed paycheck from a real company. It's $1,923. After taxes, you stare at it for a minute, maybe longer, because somewhere in the back of your head, you did the math before this day. You thought $30,000 a year sounded like enough, like freedom, like finally. And it does feel like something. For about 4 days. Then rent is due. Then groceries. Then your phone bill. Then the parking ticket you forgot about. And by the 14th of the month, you have $310 left. Not for the rest of the year, for the rest of the month. You're not panicking, but you're not comfortable either. You're just watching the numbers, waiting for the next one to hit. This is where most people start, and what most people don't realize is how you respond to this moment quietly shapes everything that comes next. This is every level of working a job, from $30,000 to $300,000. Not the career advice version, the real version. What it actually looks like. What it actually feels like. Level 1, $30,000. You work at a mid-sized company. Nothing glamorous. An office with fluorescent lights and a kitchen that always smells like someone's reheated fish. You sit at a desk for 8 hours, sometimes 9. Your commute is 40 minutes each way. You drive a 2014 Honda Civic with 112,000 miles on it. The AC works most of the time. Your apartment is a 1-bedroom, 20 minutes from work, $1,050 a month. That's fine. The hot water takes about 45 seconds to kick in, and your upstairs neighbor apparently rearranges furniture at midnight, but it's yours. Here's what your month actually looks like. Rent, $1,050. Car insurance, $140. Groceries, $280. Gas, $90. Phone, $55. Utilities, $80. Subscriptions you keep meaning to cancel, $47. Student loan minimum, $200. That's $1,942. You bring home $1,923. So every month starts $19 in the negative before you've eaten a single meal out, bought a single piece of clothing, or had a single unexpected expense. You cover it somehow. You usually do. But there's no margin. Every little thing is a calculation. A coworker's birthday dinner feels like a financial decision. A car issue is a crisis, not an inconvenience. At this level, money isn't something you think about strategically. It's something you survive. Level 2. $48,000. Age 25. 2 years pass. You get a promotion. A different company, actually. You applied mostly because a recruiter messaged you and the number made you say yes without thinking too hard. $48,000 a year. You run the math on the drive home from the interview. $3,200 a month after taxes. That's more than $1,000 extra. Every single month. The first thing you do is move apartments. Nothing dramatic. Just a nicer building, in-unit laundry, no midnight furniture rearrangement, $1,350 a month instead of $1,050. Then the car. The Civic is still running, technically, but the check engine light has been on for 7 months and you're tired of explaining it to people at the mechanic. You lease something newer. $340 a month. Suddenly the extra $1,000 is gone, not wasted, just absorbed. Without you really noticing, the lifestyle expanded to meet the income. You save $200 a month now. Some months, not every month, but something has shifted emotionally. The low-grade financial anxiety of $30,000 is mostly gone. You can go out for dinner without running a calculation in your head. You can buy the slightly nicer version of things. You feel like you're doing okay, and you are. But okay has a ceiling, and you're starting to bump into it. The first rule: every raise comes with a lifestyle waiting to absorb it. The income changes. The habits change faster. Level 3. $67,000. Age 28, 3 years later. Still at the same company, now with a title that sounds impressive at family dinners. Senior something. Associate something. The word manager is somewhere in there. $67,000 a year. You're in the top third of earners, your age statistically. That fact means more to you than you'd admit out loud. You have $8,400 in your savings account. Took you about 18 months to get there. It's the first time you've had money that isn't earmarked for anything. No bill waiting to eat it, no trip you've already mentally spent it on. Just money, sitting there, existing. Something changes when you cross that threshold. It's hard to explain. The texture of decisions feels different. You stop calculating whether you can afford things and start calculating whether they're worth it. That's a different kind of math entirely. But work has gotten more complicated. More responsibility, more meetings, more emails at 8 p.m. from people who don't think about what 8 p.m. means. You manage 2 people now, which means when something goes wrong, it's somehow partly your problem, even when it wasn't your decision. You're contributing to a 401k, 6%, because that's what HR suggested, and you haven't changed it since the enrollment form. Your company matches 3%. You've never looked at what you're actually invested in. The job doesn't feel urgent anymore. It feels routine, which should feel like success. But routine has this quiet way of becoming invisible. You stop noticing the hours. You stop noticing the years. Level 4, $92,000. Age 31. You changed jobs again. This one came with a title bump, a significant raise, and an office with a window. These things matter to you in a way they didn't at 22. You're not sure if that's growth or something else. $92,000 a year. When you type that number in a financial calculator, it spits out projections that feel almost fictional. You own a car outright now. You bought out the lease. Your apartment costs $1,900 a month, and it's the nicest place you've ever lived. You cook real food most nights. You travel once or twice a year, not just to see family. You have a financial advisor technically, though you've met with him exactly twice. Net worth, around $47,000. Savings, 401k, minus nothing. You paid off your student loans at 29. That felt like something, like a door closed behind you. At this level, the anxiety is different. It's not, can I make rent? It's quieter, more abstract. It shows up as, what am I actually building here? Because you're earning more than you ever imagined at 22. And yet, the gap between where you are and where you thought you'd feel by now, it's not gone. You manage a team of 7. You have budget responsibility. People ask you for decisions and you make them, and most of the time, the right thing happens. But you're also the person who gets pulled into 6 p.m. calls that go until 7:30. You're also the person who thinks about work on Sunday afternoons without meaning to. Your salary is real. Your time is less yours than it's ever been. Level 5, $140,000. Age 35. This level doesn't happen from loyalty. It happens from leverage. You get an offer from a competitor. Unexpected. You weren't looking. A recruiter reached out on LinkedIn and you responded out of curiosity the way you've responded to recruiters 3 or 4 times before. Except this time the number made you sit up straight. $140,000 base, plus bonus, plus equity. Your current company does a counteroffer. You've read enough to know what counteroffers usually mean, but the number is real and you take the new job anyway. It feels like crossing a line you didn't know existed. At $140,000, math starts working differently. You can max your 401k, $23,500, and still have money left over. You have a brokerage account now. You think about index funds the way people your parents' age talked about real estate. Not obsessively, just naturally the way you think about things that actually affect your life. Net worth is somewhere around $210,000. You have no debt. Your monthly expenses are roughly $6,400, rent, food, insurance, all of it. And you make over $9,000 a month after taxes. The gap between income and spending for the first time is wide enough to do something real with. But here's what nobody tells you about this level. The job is harder, not in the skill sense, in the exposure sense. Your decisions affect more people. When something goes wrong now, it goes wrong loudly. You have more to protect. The golden handcuffs aren't a joke people made up. They're a real thing, and you're wearing them. Leaving this job means leaving $140,000. That number is hard to unknow. The second rule. Every level up in income comes with a corresponding level up in consequences. The money gets real. So does everything attached to it. Level 6. $200,000 plus age 39. Director. VP. Some title that sounds like you've arrived. $200,000 base. Sometimes more with bonus. Stock vesting every quarter. a name in the company's organizational chart that people 3 levels below you have never spoken to but know by face from town halls. You own property now. A house in a neighborhood you would have driven through at 22 and assumed was beyond you. You have 2 cars. Neither is flashy. You're not that kind of person, or maybe you've just absorbed the social cues of your income bracket, which values understated things. Your net worth is somewhere north of $600,000. That number is almost impossible to connect to the person who had $310 left at the end of the month at 22. But you don't think about that person much anymore. What do you think about? Honestly? The job, still. More than you expected to at this point. There's a version of this story where $200,000 means ease. And in some ways it does. You're not anxious about money in any immediate sense. But the job has become structural. It funds the house, the property taxes, the private school tuition for your kid, the retirement accounts, the insurance, the life you've built that requires this specific income level to continue operating. Some mornings you sit in your car for an extra 2 minutes before walking into the building. Not because anything is wrong, just to breathe. The money is very real, and so is the cost of the money. Level 7, $300,000. Age 44. Not many people reach this level inside a job. The ones who do usually have 2 things: a very specific skill that is very hard to replace, or a position that sits close enough to revenue that the company can directly calculate what losing them would cost. $300,000, sometimes more. The math at this level is almost uncomfortable to type out. After taxes, depending on state, you take home somewhere between $14,000 and $17,000 a month. Every month, reliably. You don't worry about money anymore, at all. Not the way you did at 22. Not the quiet background hum of $30,000. Not the am I making the right moves of $90,000. The financial anxiety is genuinely gone. But here is the thing nobody says about $300,000 inside a job. You have more freedom than you've ever had, and less than you've ever wanted. Because the job is still a job. It still has a boss, even if that boss is a board. It still has performance reviews. It still has quarters and targets and calls at 7 a.m. with people in different time zones. It still has the fundamental structure of your time belonging, in the primary sense, to someone else's agenda. You have achieved, by almost any traditional measure, financial success. And you are beginning to understand that financial success inside a job is not the same thing as financial freedom. They rhyme. They are not the same. There's a moment that happens at this level. It doesn't arrive dramatically. There's no single conversation, no crisis, no movie scene clarity. It's smaller than that. You're in a meeting. It's a Tuesday. Someone 3 levels below you is presenting a deck. And you realize, not as a complaint, just as an observation, that you have been in this exact meeting with different people on different Tuesdays for 22 years. The names change, the decks change, the products change, the room, the company, sometimes the city. But the Tuesday, the meeting, the agenda, the time slot that belongs to someone else's priority, those haven't changed. And you sit there making $300,000 and you do the math on what your hourly rate is, what your actual hourly rate is across all the hours, and then you think about the $310 you had left at the end of the month at 22, and you think about how much has changed. The car, the house, the title, the account balance. How much has genuinely changed? And you think about what hasn't. The alarm still goes off, you still get dressed and go somewhere, you still do what is needed before you do what you want. The leverage is different, the control's different, but the structure, the fundamental structure of trading your time for income, that part didn't change when the number changed. It's not a crisis, it's not even a decision, it's just a recognition. The number got bigger. That mattered. That changed real things about real life. But the thing you actually wanted is the thing underneath the raise, underneath the promotion, underneath every yes to every job. That thing has a different name, and salary alone was never going to be the way to it. You are 44 years old. You make $300,000 a year. By most definitions, by almost every definition that existed when you were 22, you succeeded. And you did. That's true. It's worth saying out loud. The $310 left at the end of the month is gone. The check engine light, the parking ticket calculation, the Sunday anxiety about whether the direct deposit will cover everything, gone. What you have instead is a different set of questions. Quieter questions. The kind that take longer to form and don't have clean answers. What would it look like if the income wasn't attached to the hours? If the money worked while the Tuesday meeting happened without you? You don't know yet. Most people at this level don't, but you're thinking about it. And that's the thing about every level of working a job. The higher you go, the less the problem is the money. The more the problem is the structure that the money lives inside. You started at $30,000 trying to survive. You ended at $300,000 wondering what freedom actually costs. The number changed everything. And the number changed nothing. That's the level nobody talks about.